before I move on, oh, when I finished that first ball of yarn, I had literally like this, not including this ball, of course, this much yarn, like less than 3 yards. It was right there. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 164 of the Love and Stitches podcast. It is a beautiful, crisp, cloudy day here in New York City. We have had clouds for a while. Actually, we may have had one sunny day in the last week, but I can't really remember. And honestly, I am loving it because when it's cloudy outside, we can just open all of the shades and it's not too bright to, like, the sun is not like reflecting in our faces or in our computers or whatever we're doing, but it's still like a nice and bright atmosphere. Also, our apartment stays warm all of the time. We don't have our heat on even though it's like in the 30s in the morning. So it's so nice to be able to open up a window and have fresh air and it feel like really nice and cool. And I just am loving it right now. I also love it because I get to like light candles and put on my little twinkly lights and create a mood. So I'm absolutely loving that. Despite that though, I am feeling a little off today, like just kind of a anxious tightness in my chest. So I think it has something to do with like this being the first kind of real week of the new year and just things that I have planned and things that I want to do. So collectively, I think we should just take a deep breath. So here we go. And let it out. And just take some time for yourself right now. Grab yourself some tea, some knitting or crochet. We're gonna have a great time today. I have lots to share with you. One last thing before we get started. I am wearing my cropped sweatshirt. I'm not sure if the shop still carries this style, but this is our old logo that I got a while ago. It's a hoodie. It's not a very practical hoodie. Well, maybe it is. I can't remember. Oh yeah, actually that's a pretty practical hoodie. That's a nice hood. But I can't remember if this style is still carried. If it is, I'll make sure to link it. If it is still carried, I think it's one in limited sizes, unfortunately. But it is a very comfortable, lightweight hoodie, and I just was looking for something comfy to wear today. By the way, thank you all for your suggestions last week when I asked about if I should cut off the bottom of my granny square, my new granny square sweatshirt. The consensus seemed to be that I should do something about it, whether it's cut off the bottom, change the hem, cut slits into the side. I don't know. I haven't made a decision on it yet, so stay tuned. This hoodie though, even though it did come this way, is cut off and rolled, and I think it looks fine. Not that I would cut that other one this short because it would cut off some of the design, but that may be the way that I go. Mostly because the hem itself is too small for my body and it just doesn't fit me. And I would rather work on making that sweatshirt something that I can love and enjoy because I do love the way that it looks. All right, let's dive into things. The first project I want to share with you today has been my main focus over the last week, and that is my Lace and Fade boxy. But I realized after I finished the podcast last week that I didn't share with you my bag that I have. This is a bag that I got as a gift, as a Christmas gift from my friend Deb, who owns Bliss Yarns in Brentwood, Tennessee, and it is such a cool bag. I did not realize that I was missing out on this type of shape until I got this bag. So it is a tall circular bucket bag from Sea Bags, and they are not a knitting and crochet focused company. They just make bags. They have a lot of different bags, but their bags, or at least this one, is from recycled sails from sailboats, which is super cool. And then they print on it, and there's like an actual rope handle, which is awesome and like swings down, and there's no dividers or pockets or anything. It's just a big open bucket. But I have found this so convenient because it's so sturdy and structured to have around the house. Just pick up, go from one room to the next with my sweater in it, and it's been absolutely amazing. So I'll try to remember to include the link for Sea Bags, but you can also just look them up. They are a pretty big company, so it comes up quite easily. They're out of Maine, I think. Okay, so now on to the project. So I have made some good progress on my boxy sweater. Where's the, oh, there it is. Okay, so this is the Lace and Fade Boxy by Joji Locatelli. I'm not fading mine in case you haven't seen that from this right here. I have made, I don't know, 4 inches. This is where I was, that little stitch marker there, last week. And I've done a whole lace section and a whole stockinette section. So let's talk about the yarn real quick. I don't have labels for this, but this yarn is the Little Wolf Knits. I've got it in my project page down below, but this is her Sunfish base, which is a 75-25, I believe, and it is called Too Good to Eat. I can't remember what this base is called, but it's the Surrey, and this one is Apple Cider. These were both from her donut collection from last year. So I am like, oh look, I'm like at this cropped level. I do think this will grow a little more once it's off the needles and blocked. I think the lace is gonna drop quite a bit, and so will the stockinette. But I am actually in my very last laced section if I don't add any extra length to it, which I don't think I will. I'm cool with kind of a semi-cropped deal here with an oversized sweater. I think it looks just fine, but I am going to potentially try it on. I should try it on. My plan is that after I finish the 4th lace section, which is as designed, the last lace section, and then you do more stockinette, and after the stockinette, you do ribbing. And in the last section, it just says like go until desired length. But of course, it would maybe look a little bizarre for the last stockinette section to be too much longer than any of these bands. At least to me, that would look a little weird. So I know some people have added on a whole nother lace section and then another stockinette section if you don't want it to be super cropped. So I'm thinking that I know that the best thing to do would be after I finish the last stockinette band is to put everything on a, what's it called? Try it on tubing and then actually block it. That would be the absolute best thing to do because there's really no true way to know how something is going to look when it's done unless you treat it the way you're going to treat it when it's done. And for me, that's wet blocking it. So I could do that. I should do that. I may do that. We'll see. Or I may just trust it and like throw on the rib and finish it. As I'm saying that, I'm realizing that that's a bad idea. I need to take my own advice and actually do it. I could also just try it on without blocking it, taking away a like 2-day step because it's going to take me some time to get all the stitches on there and then to wash it and then to let it dry. It probably will dry pretty fast within 24 hours and then putting all the stitches back on to then finish the ribbing or add to it. But you know what would take a lot longer is taking out ribbing after I've already done it if I do need to lengthen it. So, okay, I'm gonna learn what I've learned in the past year and I'm going to do the right thing, do the thing that I know will be the best the first time. How about that? So, you know, stay tuned. But I just finished off in this 3rd band. So, okay, I'm making the smallest size. And I had 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn and 1 skein of Surrey, which I feel like is a really good use of yarn for a sweater that's oversized. That's not a ton of yarn for a sweater, which is kind of nice. It might even be something that you have in stash already, 2 skeins of yarn that match, and then 1 skein of like Mohair or Surrey. So here you go. Here's a sweater you can make. Of course, depending on your the size that you want to make. So I have just now finished my first skein of yarn. It lasted me through this whole top portion and these 3 stockinette bands. I did use the second ball of yarn for the first sleeve that I've already completed, and I think for the neck too. I can't remember if I used the first one or the second one, but the neck is so small. I just did a rolled neck, the one in the pattern, that it didn't use very much yarn. So before I move on, oh, when I finished that first ball of yarn, I had literally like this, not including this ball, of course, this much yarn, like less than 3 yards. It was right there, which was very nice. I didn't think I was going to be that close to it, but that's pretty good. Can't really plan that. So before I continue on to do the next band of stockinette, I'm going to go ahead and use my second ball of yarn to complete my second sleeve. The reason is that I used the same ball of yarn to do the first sleeve, and because it's a hand-dyed yarn, there is slight variation. I mean, it's really close, right? But I want to go ahead and use the same area of this second ball of yarn to complete the second sleeve so that they're as close as possible. And then I will then take this ball of yarn and use it to finish out the sweater. And my strategy is also so that I don't have multiple balls of yarn attached. So I'll go ahead and finish the lace, and then I'll be able to break this yarn, no balls of yarn attached, and then add this one to the sleeve, complete that, break it, no more balls of yarn attached before reattaching it to the bottom. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the way I like to think of things so that I don't have too much chaos going on in my sweater. Also, just to keep things interesting for me and to keep working on different parts of the sweater. And then that will also be really great for when I'm doing a try on, I'll have both sleeves, and also when I'm at the bottom and I'm binding off, like I'm truly done with the sweater. I don't have to come back and do the neck or the sleeves or anything like that. So I am loving it. It is so fun to be working mostly on one project. It feels like it's going so fast. And one of the ways that I've been able to get so much done on this sweater is that part of it is all stockinette, and it's so easy to do. So in the morning when I've been reading, I've been working on it. And then over the weekend, we went to see a Broadway show, and I was just happened to be in the stockinette part. And so for me, I was like, oh, I was thinking I would bring my hat. I have a Musselburgh hat that's like just a project that if I need it for knitting in the dark at the movies or at a show. And I thought, you know what though? I have this project that's already ready for in the dark knitting, and I had plenty of the stockinette band left to do. So I thought, this is a project that I'm wanting to finish this month. Let me just bring this. And it worked out great. I had plenty of knitting to do. It was super easy to do during the show, and I just love that. So I find that I always get things done more quickly when I am not thinking about them so much, and doing them out and about is the best way for me to get that done. So that has been a really great project this week. I've been thoroughly enjoying it. All right. The other thing that I've been focusing on this week, I've really just focused on two things. I'm really trying to get things down to I don't know if it's like down to a science, but I'm really figuring out what works for me, and it's having one main project and one secondary project, and like that's it. And if for some reason I can't work on my main project, I will fill in something else. That seems to be working really well for me. Okay, so the other project that I've been working on this week is my granny stripe blanket. So this is a pattern by Lucy of Attic 24, but I have modified it for fingering weight yarn and for scraps, and all the notes and details are on my project page that I have linked. So I want to finish this thing in the month of January. It's my January knitting goal, even though it's crochet. It's my January yarny goal. And so I have a routine that worked for me really, really well during Advent season, which was to do one stripe, which is 2 rows per day. And so I've just been continuing that. And so I put a little marker, I'm like all twisted up here, hold on. I put just a plain light bulb stitch marker in, because I found when I had like a really fun progress keeper in there, it was getting in my way. So just a plain stitch marker for now. And I have been tracking where I started my January yarn. So this kind of a goldy brown, it was Mr. Potato Head. That was the last of the Advent 2022 from Fangirl Fibers. And then from there on up has all been leftovers and scraps. And I actually remember, I think, what each of these are. So I would love to share that with you. The first 4 here from the marker are all Sock Week yarns. So this is from 2022 Sock Week, this is from 2022, and this is from 2022. All this past year's sponsors. And then this one is from Sock Week 2020, which is fun. So I had those in a basket ready to go. I thought I would put them in my blanket like as I finish the projects, which has never been the case for me, but it's looking like it could be in the future one day soon. But now they're in there and it's fun to have those memories. The green right here is a pair of socks that I knit last year for my friend Brian, and there's just a lot of like memories in that. So that's in there. And then the pink, which by the way, I love this pink color. I would totally make something out of this. This is starting a new set of yarn that I have. So I want to show that. I spent a lot of time this last week organizing my scrap yarn. This may be a little foreshadowing for what is to come in 2023, but I was able to pull out all of the yarns that are from 11 Stitches swap that we did, I think last year. If not last year, no, you know what? I think it was in 2021. In 2021, we did 11 Stitches scrap yarn swap where you sent yarn to one person, they sent yarn to you, and the person that sent yarn to me did a beautiful job of putting all these yarns together. I'm gonna open this up and show in just a second. But I have 17 balls of yarn left that had tags on it. I have used the other ones, I believe, in the blanket somewhere else, but now that I'm nearing the end of the blanket and I only have, how many stripes do I have left to go? So from the marker, I think it's on the other side here. This thing is huge. From the marker, I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stripes, and I believe I needed to do 26. So that means I have 20 left to go. And left in here, I'm pretty sure are 16 balls of yarn. So my plan is to use these balls of yarn from the scrap, These scrappy yarns from the swap, and then plus a few of my own leftover yarn. So if I finish anything in January, I can add it into the blanket. I probably will finish my Lace and Fade Boxy, and then I can add this yarn in. That will be very fun. And then I also have a ton of scraps and leftovers of my own from years and years that I've collected. So I will have zero issues finishing out this blanket. I am planning to use most of the yarns in here. I do see maybe at least one color that I'm not certain I will use in the blanket, but most of them are like pinks and purples. So my scrap partner was so sweet in the way that they put these together. They are these amazing center pull balls. Like how beautiful, hand wound center pull balls. So I just cut off the tag and then I can just pull out from the center. A labor of love. And then each one also has the label of what it is. So this one's Little Wolf Knits, which is fun. Whoa, I just rolled into the camera. Little Wolf Knits, and then if it's not 7525, they have labeled that for me. This one is BFL and nylon, so it should still be, I think, a superwash, so I'm going to add that in. I cannot remember if I have put yarns in the blanket that are not washable, and honestly, it's too late. I'm just going to have to, at some point, wash this blanket and see what happens, and just fix it if something happens to it. So I'm not going to add anything that's definitely not washable at this point, but I also don't remember what I've done over the past 5 years as I've worked on this blanket. So there we go. So I'm just going to carry on. What is wrong with me? I'm like falling out of this chair. I am just going to carry on with my one a day, and as long as I keep up with it daily, and I'm also not super stressed if I like need to skip a day or something, but if I do keep up with it daily, what's the date today? Today is January 10th. I haven't done today's yet. So the 10th through the 30th, I should finish by the end of January if I can keep up daily with this, because I have 20 more days to go. So yeah, it's so cool that it's almost done. I almost don't want it to end, but I do have plans to make some other like replace this scrappy project with another scrappy project. I'm really going to just focus on managing one big project like this at a time though. I think it would be too much to try to do more than that. Every day after I'm finished with this project, I fold it up and go like this. And it goes into one of the cubes on my IKEA shelf next to the rest of my yarn. The last thing that I worked on this week is in a Black Pearl Magic bag. You know I love Black Pearl Magic, and these fabric bags are awesome. So I didn't work a ton on this project this week. It really just came into play if I couldn't work on my boxy, like if it's in a lace section and I needed something simple to work on in the morning while I'm knitting and reading. That's really when I brought this project out. So these are, hold on, what in the world? My Advent socks. So I'm on sock number 1 still. They're a really tall sock out of Mint Rain hand-dyed yarns. This was the Advent 2022 colorway that I cast on Christmas Day of this past year. And I am over halfway through the foot now. So you can see from this little peppermint toad that I am, I don't know, let's see, 20, 40. I use the light bulb stitch markers to count every 40 rounds. I usually do about 60 between the heel and the toe for myself. So I think I've got like, I don't know, actually not that much left of the foot to go. I really do need to look at this a little more because we are going to a hockey game tonight and I would like to bring these to work on. So I might need to start the second sock and have a cuff ready to go. And it's much easier to cast on when I'm at home. So maybe I'll get that. Actually, I should get that set up maybe during lunch today so I can have it ready for tonight because there's not much left of this sock. And I don't think I'm going to be taking off my shoes at a hockey game to try things on or on a dirty subway or anything like that. But yeah, so there's not a lot of this sock, the first sock left to go, but then of course I have the entire second sock to do. I can see that once my lace and fade boxy is done, this is going to be the next project that I'm like focusing on through the end because 1, I want to finish them because I like them and I want to wear them in the winter. But 2, I am working on a pattern for these socks and I know what's going to stop me probably from just working on these freely is that I will feel like I need to stop in between sock 1 and 2 and write up the pattern because then when I knit the second sock, I can be following along my pattern and making sure it makes sense before I test it. So that might be a little bit of a barrier for me. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to do my best to push through and keep working on these and enjoying them because they are a very enjoyable knit. But not much more to say about those socks, just a couple inches here and there, but hopefully, hopefully working on them more a little bit soon. As I was closing up this bag, both needles were just like popping through the top, which is a little bit scary. Okay, one last thing I do want to show, it's not a project, but as I was cleaning and organizing all of my scraps this past week, I came across an advent calendar that I had not finished opening. And so I got all the yarn organized, but then there was an extras goodie bag that I never even opened. And it's from the Pokemon advent calendar from July 2022 from Fangirl Fibers. So just in case you have this and you didn't open it, I guess don't look. And I know that there was just an order, if maybe it's coming or maybe it's already happened for this July's advent calendar. I don't know what's going to be in that or if it's the same. So anyway, this is your spoiler warning. But here's what was in last year's. It was this really cute little Evie bag that says gotta catch 'em all. And Evie has a yarn ball, which is so cute. It's a nice, like, just a nice little tote that I will definitely be using to like fold up and put in my purse. So I feel like I always need totes when I'm walking around doing errands. Suddenly I'll pick up something that doesn't fit back in my bag and it's a pain to just carry it loosely. And so having a little bag that's really foldable is very, very nice. There was also a bunch of tea in there. So for each of the different types, she had labeled the tea. Kent and I are very into tea, especially right now in the wintertime. So we're going to use and enjoy those. I just wanted to show them before I put them in our kitchen. There were 2 stickers, and one I think is for the cross stitchers, and then an Eevee with a ball of yarn for us knitters and crocheters. I have, oh my gosh, my computer is listening to me. Stop it. Stop listening. I have been putting stickers on my laptop again. I decided to get a cover so I could put the stickers on the cover. That way when I'm over it, I can just pop that off or get a new case or something like that. So I think I'm gonna put this on there because I don't know, it kind of represents something that Kent and I share in common is we play Pokemon Go all the time, and it's a little yarn ball. So that's really fun. Not a cross stitcher, so probably not going to use that one, but it is very, very cute. And then the last thing is that there were tons and tons of stitch markers. So I just took them all out of the bags and put them in here. And the other thing that, this was Kent's idea actually, is that we took all of the advents that I have and we took them all out of the bags because I feel like when something's in a package or in a box, it's not getting used, right? But we didn't want to lose the order of things. So I took a picture of the yarns all laid out, and then I took all of the cards and put a number on the back of them. So this is all of the colorways for this advent calendar. And I took it out of the bag that still had like the number on it and then wrote it on the back, and I just kept them all in order and they're rubber banded. And so when I go back to that calendar, oh, did I say I took a picture? I can't remember if I said I took a picture. I took a picture and I put a 1 on the first one and like a 31 on the last one so that I can match things up. So I feel like by the time I get to using those yarns, I'm probably not going to care that much about the order, but I do kind of care about knowing which yarn it is. So now I have the ability to do that without all the extra packaging. So there you go. A little organization, a little yarny organization this week that was a long time coming. I got a lot of fun questions from last week on the podcast. And if you do have a question for me that you'd like me to answer in next week's podcast, make sure to leave a comment down below. But in the front of that comment, put #question. That just helps me go through quickly and identify which comments are questions and which comments are maybe something else. And then I'm just going to pick a few each week and answer them. So this week, we are answering a question from Antoinette. The question is, "Hi Natalie, can you tell us about the item in the corner window? It looks like a knitted tree and I'd love to know more about it." You are correct. Let me grab it. This is a felted Christmas tree. It's not going to be up for much longer. We were going to take our decorations down over the weekend, but we just didn't. We're still enjoying our tree, so we didn't take them down. So I got this at Bliss Yarns, actually, many years ago. And they didn't sell them, but there was like a vendor, obviously they didn't sell them, but a vendor came in and had these. When I showed this in Vlogmas this past year though, somebody found an Etsy shop that carried something similar, but I have since lost that link. I don't remember. It's in one of my Vlogmas videos, but I don't remember which one. I'm sorry. But if you look on Etsy and look up felted tree, Christmas tree, you're probably going to find something like this. So if I remember correctly, the person that made these went to secondhand stores and found like wool sweaters, and then they would felt them, and then they cut them into varying circles, put them together, put a little star on top, and it's just the cutest thing. It's the perfect size to have as a decoration here in the bedroom / the place where I record podcasts. And I love it. And it's one of the decorations that I want to hold on to for a long time. There we go. So yeah, it will be there maybe next week, maybe not, who knows. The next question is from Maddie. I've never knit a project with lace before. Is the Lace and Fade Boxy a good introduction to learning lace? So that project, let me grab it again, is lace in the Mohair, is what the pattern suggests is Mohair, but I'm actually using a Serle, which is a little bit thicker. So somebody else asked me this question on Instagram, and I answered them in a comment, and I said, yes, it's good for beginning lace knitters, but I would actually like to take that back. I don't think this is a good pattern for beginning lace knitters. Not because of the lace itself, actually. The lace pattern is very repetitive, which is perfect for a first-time lace project, but because it's in Mohair or Serle or whatever you choose to use, it is difficult to see. It is difficult to do the knit two togethers and like the center decreases and all of that stuff with the Mohair and the lace. And if I had not done these stitches before, I think I would have a really hard time actually getting this to turn out right. I am struggling as it is with the lace because of how sticky and thick the Serle is, and like how it kind of like the yarn itself has a core, right? And that's the stitch, but then sometimes the little fuzzy bits look like stitches too. So I feel like if I'm having a hard time with it and I've knit a lot of lace, that it's probably not a great decision for a beginning lace knitter, just because you really want to be able to see that lace when you're first doing it. So I would say no. After you've done a little bit of lace, yes, the lace itself is not difficult. It's just that element of having the fuzzy yarn where it's difficult to see. So I would suggest, however, picking a lace pattern that is repetitive, that uses a smooth yarn. Maybe pick something that's lighter in color so that you can really see it. And I do like a lace pattern in the round, although I guess it doesn't really matter. I think something that just keeps the same number of stitches is nice, so you don't have to worry about lace on top of increasing and decreasing. That can be difficult. So maybe something like a cowl would be really, really great. I went on Ravelry and I found, let me see, what is it called? A cowl pattern from Helen Stewart, who I very much trust with knitting patterns. She writes amazing patterns. It is called the Oddments cowl. It's meant for mini skeins or advents or like leftovers, but you could probably do it in 1 or 2 colors as well. And it is, I think, a great beginner lace pattern. I have not knit it myself, so I can't say 100%, but it does fit the bill for not changing your stitch count, having something repetitive, and then a designer that I just trust and I think writes great patterns. So check that out maybe, or any type of similar pattern where it's just not going to be something with a fuzzy yarn and lace. That just makes it a bit too difficult in my opinion. Okay, the next question is from Lee. I really want to shrink my yarn stash, but it feels too overwhelming to count it all at this stage. Do you have any tips, please? Okay, so first of all, I would say if it feels too overwhelming to count your stash, don't count it. The number really doesn't matter that much. It's not like there's an ideal number of skeins to have in your stash. I just like to use it as a motivator and a tracker, but when I was first starting this journey, so like not in the beginning of 2022, I wasn't counting my stash. That was just too much to do. If you have, I would say, even more than like 30 or so skeins, it's a lot to count and it's really just not necessary. So just take counting off the table for now. My other suggestion is a video that I did last year. It's called something like emergency quick yarn organization, blah, 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 something like that. I'll make sure to link it. But in that video, I go through 3 different categories in my stash and I organize them in like 20 minutes or less. And I give you a lot of tips on the process that I use for that. So if you're feeling really overwhelmed with your yarn and you want to start with yarn, I would highly suggest picking a smaller category within your yarn. So instead of just starting with all your yarn, could you start with all of your fingering weight yarn and just pull all of that out first? Or could you start with something even like, you can pick any category, everything that's blue, everything that's white. Or a lot of times people like to start with something that they know that they're not maybe going to use as much. You could pull out everything that is a yarn you bought before X date, or you could pull out everything that is in a particular fiber. It really doesn't matter. You know yourself best. So I would say make it smaller by starting with a category within in the yarn category and focus on that first. You don't have to do it all in one day. You really shouldn't do it all in one day. It's too many decisions to make. If yarn is too much, you can start with something different, like your tools or just your needles or something like that. Just pick a smaller category. Stitch markers, that's a great one to start with. Pick a smaller category, work through that one with the steps that I have in the video, and then you're gonna feel motivated and accomplished, and you can tackle another category next. You don't need to do more than one in a day. Just take it nice and slow. The next question is from Lisa. It's actually two questions. The first one is your calendar on your computer or a paper planner? And then the second question says, I'd love to read more. Do you do audiobooks, or are they on a Kindle and you knit without looking at your work? Okay, so let's start with the first one. So my calendar, the way that I plan is digital. I use Google Calendar. I'll just show you real quick, like what this week's calendar looks like. Don't be alarmed. This is what my calendar looks like. And I know it looks like a lot, but this is something that I've been practicing and working and fine-tuning for an entire year. And it is working so well for me. What I use is called Power Planning. It is from Sam Laura Brown. I am in a class called the Perfectionism Project. It's actually called PGSD, but I think that she is launching this year a self-study course, so you can just sign up for the course and learn how to do this power planning on your own instead of a much larger monetary investment in the business side of things, which is where I went and has been amazing for me, but wouldn't make sense maybe if you're not a business owner. But this literally has changed my life and it's so awesome. I used to be a paper planner. Can you tell I'm passionate about this? I already have gone off on this way longer than the other stuff, sorry. But I used to love paper planners. But when I didn't have it with me, I literally felt lost. I also got frustrated when things changed because it would mess up the way that I had written in my planner. I couldn't see everything at once. I couldn't search for things. There's just so much that helps with a digital calendar. And it's like a puzzle. You can plan it all out, but then you can tweak it really easily. And so, for example, today my mom likes to call me on her way to work, and I don't always ask her which day she's working. So she gave me a call and I was able to slide my podcast from one time slot down to the other, look at what else I had, shuffle some things around. You may also notice that there's like white spaces in between. I now know that I need to leave myself space in between if something takes longer or if something comes up that I need to pop in. I also have on here, this is new for me, but I have a reoccurring thing. Oh, that's the other thing. You don't have to write everything down. You can put it as reoccurring for, it happens every Monday, it happens every weekday. It's so nice. But I have it like every day that I need to stop work at a certain time to make sure that I do that. And then my goals for the month where I'm working on decluttering and those kinds of things, I've also set as reoccurring events. So they're in there every day and then I can just move them around. It doesn't work for everyone, and I know this, but it works so well for me. And if you haven't tried it, give it a try. It's amazing. I'll link the Power Planning and Sam Laura Brown's website if you're interested down below. The second question was about reading. I actually get this question a lot. I am not an audiobook person. I have a really hard time focusing when I'm listening to an audiobook unless I've read the book before. Really, the only time I listen to audiobooks is when I'm taking long drives, like driving 6 or more hours and I just need something to do. Even then, I usually will listen to podcasts instead. It just, for some reason, just doesn't really work for me, and I find my mind wandering, thinking about other things. And so what works better for me is to physically read. I don't know what's the right word. Not listening, but like visually reading works a lot better for me. I find that I can stay more in the moment. I can go back if I miss something, and this is just what's working for me right now. So the way that I do that is I read on a Kindle. I have a like 6-year-old Kindle Paperwhite. My mom just got a Kindle Paperwhite for Christmas from my brother. This is just an ad, it's not the book I'm reading. And it's the new version, and kind of made me want a new one because I can't get a cover for this Kindle anymore. It's so old, and I really want a cover that I can swivel. So like I can lay on my side and read when I have it open like this on my right, but I can't go the other way. And I'm pretty sure I can't flip my screen. So I need a case that flips. Anyway, this is a very silly problem to have, but I love my Kindle Paperwhite, and I believe you can get them for around $100, which is obviously a lot more than a book, but I borrow all my books from the library. And so it's been a great investment. I love it. I don't ever travel without it. It's the best. And the reason that I really like reading on my Kindle is because I'm often knitting when I'm reading. I don't have to hold my book open. I can just take one hand real quick and I can go tap on the screen to turn the page. It is beautiful. And then I have this. This is a flippy. This is the full size flippy. I also have the compact size. Both are great. I haven't seen this version of the flippy in a while. There's one that has like on the other side, it has a pouch so you can like put things inside it. Glasses maybe? I don't really know, but it is awesome, and you can have it like on your lap, or sometimes I'll put it on top of my lap desk, and then I just have my Kindle. Well, I have it open. I just set my Kindle here. You can also watch things like, or put your knitting patterns if you have them on an iPad. You can put them on there, and I set this in my lap, and I knit on something simple, stockinette, ribbing, whatever it is, and I read in the morning for 30 minutes, Monday through Friday, and it is the best. It's my favorite habit that I started last year, and I love it so much, and I will keep doing it forever. I'll link the flippy down below if you're interested. It is one of my favorite things. It's something, I always think of things like, if something happened to it, would I replace it? Yes, I would replace the flippy. It is the best. All right, last question for today. This is from Ashi. I'm not sure if that's the correct way to pronounce it, but I'll have it on the screen for you. What is a new skill or technique that you really want to learn this year? This is a great question, especially because in the Love and Stitches membership this year, in February, we are focused on learning something new. So this is great. So I have a couple things in my head that I'm thinking about that I want to learn this year. Specifically, I want to focus on in February because that's what we're doing in the membership. But the first one is learning Knit Companion better. I want to make the All of the Lights cardigan, which is a cable cardigan that has tons of cable charts. And I want to watch the Knit Companion tutorials and figure out and learn how to put the charts together. So that's one skill. The other one is that I want to take my granny squares that I've been crocheting for the last 4 years of Advent and learn how to do the join as you go method for creating a border and then joining the squares into a blanket. So that's two things that I'm thinking about for this year that I really want to learn. Thank you all so much for your questions. If I didn't answer your question that you asked in the last podcast, please try putting it again, commenting down below, and putting #question in front of your question so that I can make sure to see it and try to answer it in the next one. I just have a few news announcements for today. The first of which is that my year in review for 2022 video is finally here and finally ready. It just came out this week. So in that video, I go through all the projects that I made in the last year, not like a podcast way where I like show all of them, but I kind of take my Ravelry project page and I analyze it and I look at the numbers, like I knit X amount of socks, X amount of sweaters, and I kind of look at what does that mean for me? Like how did the year look and compare it to the year before? And I go through and do a couple other things like pick out my favorites of each of the categories of things that I made, share some of the comparisons of like what was going on in January of 2022 versus like January of 2023 and where I'm at now, and then also share my goals for 2023. So it's a fun video. I love doing it every single year, and I have now done it for 5 years. So there's 4 years of backlog of year in reviews, and then I've just added the newest one to the series. So go check that out if you haven't already. It's a long one, just like a podcast. So again, grab yourself a project, some tea or something, and enjoy. I have also created an Instagram story template for your year in review if you want to share it with us. There are 2 different story slides, and I've got both of the templates down in the description box here, but also on my Instagram stories. So if you want to go take a screenshot of that or download them and then share them on your Instagram story and tag me so that I can see it and potentially share it on my page. Now, coming up next week, our video is going to be something that I have been itching to do for a really long time. I am diving deeper into my project plans for 2023, and that's all I'm gonna say for now. I've been hinting at it a lot of what's coming up, so if you have any guesses, let me know, but I'm gonna be sharing what my 2023 focus is going to be in Tuesday's video, and you are not going to want to miss it. The last thing is that upcoming events for this year. The next thing that I have going on is I am going to be attending Vogue Knitting Live for the first time. It is February 9th through the 12th. And it is, I can actually see where it is from my window right this very second, which is really convenient for me. So I'm not going to be staying there, but I am going to be going every single day. I've got maybe 4 classes, I want to say, and I'm going to be going to the cocktail hour, the dinner. Kent and I are going to go to Hadestown with the group, so hopefully I will see you there. That reminds me, maybe I should order some more buttons and pins and stuff. I don't know if it's going to be, like, I don't know what to expect because I've never been before, if it will be quite like Rhinebeck and I'll need to have things on hand. I'm not planning any sort of meetup or anything because, again, I don't know the space and I am not going to create some kind of insanity. I felt more comfortable at Rhinebeck because I felt like I knew there was space outside and there was an area where people meet, but this event I know nothing about. So basically, I just would love to see you. If you run into me, say hi, and let me know if you're going to Vogue Knitting Live as well. All right, that's it for the announcement, so let's move on to the next section. We had a few fun things go on over the last week. I'm trying to be better about writing them down as the week goes on so I can remember the things to share with you here on the podcast. A lot of times I just feel like, wow, a week has passed. What happened? I worked. I watched TV. So I'm trying to make notes of the moments that are happening. So in the last week, I got my hair cut. It's really not that different in length or anything, but I did get it toned a little bit darker. And the reason is that I am trying to go low maintenance, and this color here is close to my natural hair color. It's actually probably a little more, not as golden, it's a little more I don't know, drab, I want to say. But I am wanting to save money, save time, and just create a more low maintenance routine for myself. Even though I really love the blonde, it just was never looking like exactly how I wanted to. And for the amount of money that it costs here in New York City to get my hair done, it just wasn't worth it. And that is my decision for now, and I reserve the right to change it at any time. But I do like how it looks now, and Kent was giving me lots of compliments on my hair. I think I took a picture when I first got it done, so it always looks the best then. But it always feels more me as I go on, a couple weeks in. So we also had a date night at home over the weekend. Kent planned this out and it was really fun. We watched a movie called The Menu that Kent had already seen before. It's on HBO Max, but I had not seen yet. Kent saw it in the theaters. I thought it was a scary movie, so I didn't go with him, but it turns out it's a little bit of a thriller, but it's not super gory, super all of that. It is dark. It is mature, but it's not like a scary movie. I don't like scary movies. So it's like the name implies, the menu. There is eating involved in the movie. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but Kent put together an 8-course meal, and he did a lot of things that were like, it wasn't like extremely fancy, but the fact that he put together and thought through 8 different items of food and cooked was incredible. And he actually made some of the best chicken breasts we've ever had. They were delicious. So it was really, really fun. And I took lots of pictures. I don't know which of the pictures we're going to end up sharing here, but he did a really good job coordinating like what was being served in the movie versus what he served to me. They had a relation, and it was just a really, really fun and sweet thing. So we enjoyed that on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we went to see the final showing of Beetlejuice the Musical on Broadway. This show has become something that means a lot to us, mostly to Kent. Kent really got me into it, but we love all the songs, we know all the songs, and we have both been multiple times to see it. Kent has been a ton, like at least 6 times since the summer to see Beetlejuice. And it's one of those shows that's just really funny. And so the characters and the people that play them have that personality, and following them on social media, you like get to know them. And it was really, really fun to go to a final show and see all of the audience, because I don't know if this happens for every Broadway show. I imagine that it doesn't, but the audience was very invested. They were dressed up. They were in costumes. When we left, people were sobbing because it was the last show. I mean, that's how emotional it was. And even on stage, there was a standing ovation when each of the main characters came out for the first time on stage. I mean, it was just wild, and it was so much fun to be a part of, and a great show as always. And I knitted my way through it, working on my boxy on a stockinette band, and it was just great. The director spoke at the end. The actors did not get to speak, or the performers, what's the right word? I don't know actually. They didn't get to speak, which was a little bit of a disappointment, but we actually did get to see some of them speak when we went on Halloween to the show. So we feel like we at least got to see that. So that was really great as well. The last thing I think of note over the last week is that I did work on organizing my scraps. Maybe we'll give you like the briefest preview here, just a little tease. And if you kind of put together things I've been saying throughout the episode, you might be able to figure out what's coming up next in my videos and what my plans are for 2023 that I literally can't wait to share with you. All right, watching, listening, and reading. I haven't really been listening to anything lately. I don't think I've said any listening things in the past while, but I have been reading. I devoured the last book that I read, which was The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Pinner. I thought it was brilliant and amazing, and I finished it shortly after last week's podcast, I think. I think it took me only like a week to read, because January 10th. Oh, this is what's so weird. You know how this year started on a Sunday, which feels very like rounded, right? Like it's like, oh yeah, Sunday being, whether you think it's the first day of the week or not, I know this is a debate, but for me, Sunday is like the first day on the calendar when on the left, right? Left. This is my left, but the year started on a Sunday. I finished a book that night and started The Lost Apothecary on January 1st, which just felt very like nice. And I think I finished it on like the 6th or 7th or something. I read it in like a week. Which is very fast for me. I really, really liked that book. So that was amazing. And then I started a new book. So The Lost Apothecary was our January book, or is our January book for the Love and Stitches membership book club, and our February book we've already picked out. It is In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle. I'm not sure how to say her last name, Serle or Serle or something like that. But I went ahead and got that book. It's our February book club book. I went ahead and put in my hold on the book, and it just happened to pop up as available the same day that I finished The Lost Apothecary. So I went straight from reading The Lost Apothecary, our January book, into reading In 5 Years, our February book. And this book is awesome too. Completely different like storylines, and well, there's a little bit of a connection to be honest, but totally different books. But In 5 Years is based in New York City, which has been very fun for me because I feel like I get to enjoy the book that much more, knowing all of the nuances and all of the things that the character is doing and where they are and the aspirations that they have and things like that. I feel like I really do understand it. The book is, there's a heaviness to the book. There's a lot of serious things going on, but it's still a fun and easy read. I'm already 70% of the way through the book and I want to finish it. Like I would love to be reading it right now. But I've been trying to stay focused and get back into my working routine this week. So I didn't go past my 30 minutes of reading this morning, even though I really, really wanted to. But it's very good. Some heaviness there. I don't want to spoil anything, but maybe look up the description. If you, how do I say this? Like, there's some things that could be very upsetting if you've had certain life experiences. So maybe look up the description before you read it. Okay, I have been watching. We watched Don't Worry, Darling. I don't think I had watched that last week. But yeah, we watched Don't Worry, Darling. Dark, weird, interesting. And then we watched The Menu, also dark, weird, interesting. Don't Worry, Darling is on Netflix and The Menu is on HBO Max. And then for a little bit of lighthearted, but also weirdly dark, strange, and interesting, I've been watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I had been watching the episodes as they dropped weekly on Peacock because we don't have cable, but I had gotten off my TV schedule during the holidays. So I watched a lot over the weekend and I am all caught up and very eager to see what happens next. And how did Heather get her black eye? I want to know. So that's what I have been consuming this week. Lots of interesting things. Okay, let's wrap up here with my goals. So you all gave me a lot of different ideas of things to call this section, and I feel like I still haven't really settled on something that feels right. Goals feels too formal. Somebody said aspirations, which I do really like, but I feel like there's something in aspirations that's like not achievable, and like these are things that I believe I can do. I don't know why that's not like a connecting for me in my head, but Dominique suggested focus areas, which is what I'm going to call it this week because that just feels right this week, and I reserve the right to change the name of this segment anytime. But so focus areas. So there are 3 things that I am focusing on in January. I've picked a goal for each area of my life. And so let's start with the personal goal. My personal goal is to declutter for 30 minutes 4 times a week. And this was the first week that I started that. Literally yesterday on Monday. Today is a Tuesday. So I only have one thing to share with you. But I took the time to put these 30-minute blocks into the calendar where I have a digital calendar, and I have them, I think they're all at the same time every day, but if I need to, I can move them. They're just automatically in my calendar through the end of January so that I know that that's something I need to do and I can move it around as needed. So I decided to start yesterday, my first day of decluttering, in the bathroom. I was gonna start with my closet, but after work yesterday, I was just feeling a little bit overwhelmed with decision making, and I thought, you know what, I wanna do something easier than clothes, something less sentimental, and so I went into the bathroom and decided to do one area, the area under our sink. We have this like box sink thing. So here's a before picture of what things looked like. It was a mess. I had been wanting to do this area for a while, and under here we keep things like that we just don't use very often, or like I have extras of. So I pulled everything out, I cleaned it. It was very dusty and very dirty. I also found that we had a little bit of water underneath there, so I was glad that I got to that, and I've put a washcloth down there, and I'm going to see if it continues to leak or if there was something else going on so I can let our building know. But anyway, that was good that I found that before it got bad. And I ended up getting rid of a bunch of stuff. I let go of a lot of products that I'm no longer using. About 5 months ago, I switched all my hair products because what I had been trying to use just wasn't working for me. And so I've been hanging on to the other stuff that I was using because I had full bottles of it. But you know what? I'm not going to use it, so I let that stuff go. There's some other things that I've been just hanging on to that I decided to let go. And I had a hard time with some of the things in there. I had a whole thing of lipstick and like lip glosses that I used to wear, and I haven't worn in years. And it made me realize that while I thought the closet was going to be the most difficult place, maybe sentimental, there is stuff in your bathroom cabinets that also are difficult to let go of. I think it's very confronting in a way to look at beauty products and things like that, because you're met with like comparing the person that you are and know that you are to the person that you may aspire to be. And for me, I always am like, I'd love to like wear more makeup and like curl my hair, but I just am not that person right now. I wear simple makeup. I don't wear lipstick. I love the lip gloss that I wear. I love the way that I do my makeup right now. And I don't even think about it until I open up this drawer and all this lipstick is there. And so I finally let go of all of that. And I got rid of so much stuff. Plus it's like old makeup. And if there comes a day where I want to wear bright pink lipstick again, then honestly, don't we deserve to go get something that is new and not old and gross? So I got rid of a lot. Here's an after picture. You can see what it looks like after. Things are much more empty in these baskets. My basket is on the left and Kent's is on the right. To be fair, I have a lot more stuff in our medicine cabinets, which is next on my list. But Kent went through a lot of his things too and let go of some stuff. And I got it all done clean in 30 minutes. And it just really didn't take that long. And it made me wonder why I was putting it off. One more thing I'm so passionate about decluttering. I absolutely love it. But I found actually 3 things that I was looking for or didn't even know I was looking for when I cleaned things out, which is great. I love that. I found an old pair of glasses. So now I just know where my backups are. But because of that, later that night, I was watching TV with my headphones on because Kent was in the same room and he had headphones on and he was talking to friends through a, what are these things called? A microphone. And it was just much more comfortable for me to listen to the show I was watching through my big headphones. But it's very uncomfortable to wear my glasses with my big headphones. So I thought, wait, I just saw my old glasses. Let me grab those and see how they feel in my headphones. I put them on, huge difference. So now I have my old glasses that I can wear at night when I'm wearing headphones and watching TV that I wouldn't have even known to look for had I not cleaned out that area. I also found a bottle of the perfume that I love and love to wear, but just haven't bought for myself in many, many months because it's an extra expense that I just feel like wasn't a top priority. And so I just haven't been wearing perfume. And I found a little bottle that has a spray thing on it. And I was so excited to find that. The last thing I found was a little thing of dry shampoo, which is great because I was out of dry shampoo and that will last me until I'm able to purchase some more. So 30 minutes made a huge impact and it feels really, really good. Okay, that was my personal area. My business goal area is that I want to do my bookkeeping for my business 30 minutes a day, 4 times a week. That is starting today. I'm actually doing that one, or planning to do that one Tuesday through Friday this week, and I'm doing it later this afternoon, so stay tuned. I'll let you know how it goes next week. Then the last thing is my knitting goal, or I think I need to rename this to a yarny goal because right now I'm crocheting. And it is to work on my, actually it's just to finish my scrappy granny stripe blanket. And the method I am using is working on it for 30 minutes a day. So here we go. I'm actually working on it for more than 30 minutes a day. I think it takes me about an hour to complete a stripe, so 30 minutes per row. But so far, so good on that one. And I have been using this cute little tracker, which I can show you right here, and using little grandma emojis to track off or mark off each day that I am working on it. This is the tracker that we're using in the Love and Stitches membership because our make along this month is a 30 for 30 minutes a day for 30 days. So it's the beginning of my new goals and focus areas. So things that are going well, of course, that's always what tends to happen in the beginning. So I'm just going to keep coming back and monitoring it week over week and sharing with you how things are going. And if you're starting out this year with some goals and things, it's not too late to start, and two, you don't have to pick something for the whole year. It can be for like just a month or just for 2 weeks and then reevaluate. So that's what I'm doing. I'm picking something just for January. February will be something different. So I definitely encourage you to give that a try if that is something that you feel like will work for you and that you want to do, especially in the area of knitting and crochet. Much more fun. But that's everything for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a question, make sure to put it down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!